47. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking bread and in prayer. And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together and had all things common. I want you to focus in on that. And all that believed were together. What does it say? And all that believed were what? And had all things common. And sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men as every man had need. And they continued daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their food with gladness and singleness of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily as such should be saved. I want to talk to you for just a few moments. I want to talk to you for just a few moments. Would you help me say mission, impossible, to. One more time. Mission, impossible, to. For those of you who were with us, who were in service with us last Sunday, you will remember that we began a sermon series entitled Mission Impossible. I informed you in that message that I believe that God had given me one more chance, and only one, to lead God's people. That he had given me one last chance to lead people who were not satisfied with the status quo, who were not satisfied with the way things are, and would not be satisfied until they were a part of transforming this church, this community, and our world for God. Do you remember that? My mission and my goal last Sunday morning was to convince some of you, even recruit some of you, to join me on a journey to transform our church into a force that would take on an impossible mission. I shared with you my vision to grow the church until every seat and every chair in the building was occupied. I further informed you that this mission would not be complete until all cultures, all races and nationalities were represented here in our church. Finally, our mission would include our church birthing a Spanish-speaking congregation that we would support until they were able to support themselves. Do you remember that? You are reminded that I was aware that this was an impossible mission, but that I believe that we could do all things through Christ that strengthened us. Because, Prayer Chapel, if we are going to accomplish this impossible mission, that will only happen by planning. We cannot just sit back and cross our arms and cross our legs and expect it to happen. No, if it is going to happen, it will happen from planning. It will happen because we come together and decide purposefully that we are going to do that. That is why my first point was plan great things for God, because you have a great God for your plan. Finally, in that message, Sister Barbara, I reminded those that were present that God had spoken 3 words into my spirit: awareness, belief, and crisis. I ended the sermon by telling you that I believed that Prayer Chapel was in the midst of a crisis. That hasn't changed. We're still in a crisis. The crisis had created an impossible situation. The crisis that we are involved in, Sister Williams, is a crisis that can only be relieved and resolved if those of us that are a part of Prayer Chapel will take on this impossible mission. This crisis had created an impossible situation in our homes, in our marriages, in our families, and in our church. My final point for those of you who were there was you really won't know God until you're faced with the impossible. If you go with me on this mission, you will know God because it will be impossible for us to achieve the mission without Him. If you go with me on this mission, you will meet God because it will be impossible for us to accomplish this mission without God. I used to come to the church. Tanisha, I used to come to church, and over the door of the church that I came in, Sister Veronica, were words that said, expect a miracle. I go into a lot of churches and I don't see those words anymore, so I have to wonder whether or not the church expects a miracle.
Oh, yeah.
I have to wonder whether or not the church is looking for a miracle anymore. I have to wonder whether the church expects God to show up, and when He shows up to transform minds and to transform hearts. I think that somewhere or another we ought to get those words back up over the door of our church, that when people come in, they expect a miracle. And a miracle in their homes, a miracle in their marriages, a miracle in their lives, a miracle in their finances, a miracle in their physical life. I look at Brother James, I see that he's looking for a miracle. And he needs to be able to expect a miracle when he comes into Prayer Chapel. And the only way that is going to happen, Prayer Chapel, is if we get together and become unified and look for a miracle. And when we look for a miracle, we can expect God to show up. Because every time in the Bible that Jesus showed up, He showed up doing miracles. You ready? Just a minute. At the beginning of every episode of Mission Impossible, Mr. Phelps, the leader of the force, would enter a room. And in the room would be a tape recorder. And well, let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean.
North Trail's closed. Oh? What about the East Trail? Yeah, but only till twilight. Let's go, kids.